everyone, and welcome back to Brickrigs. I'll be showing off a couple of things today that I've been working on, and if you've been following me on the workshop, you will know, the Steam workshop that is, then you will know what these things are. Recently I've been doing some Fallout builds. Don't ask me why I suddenly decided to, but I've been doing some Fallout builds, and yeah, these are going to be not actual vehicles, but these are more assets that I use. These are static models which you can use on the workshop if you credit me in actually building them. You can use them on your own stuff. That's if you upload them to the workshop. And yeah, this is just some power armors you can tell here, or well, you should hopefully be able to tell. These are some power armor models that I was working on. So I originally decided to start building power armor models for some reason. I can't exactly remember why I wanted to, but hey, who doesn't love themselves some power armor? So I started off building these two models here, the T45 power armor. So this power armor model is the original one that I made. This is just bog standard T45, the original power armor model that the US Army first developed before the nuclear war of Fallout. And yeah, it's the least protective of the armors, but it's probably one of the most iconic other than T51. So yeah, you've just got the sort of like shoulder pin bits here for the shoulder pads. You've got, you know, sort of just thick old legs and arms and stuff, and then it's got the helmet up top. These things are just sort of, I don't know what these things are, but they sort of are just exposed on the original model. And then you've got, of course, the chest plate there. You've got the knee pads, and then round the back here you can see there is the fusion core for the power armor. This is based off of the Fallout 4 power armor versions. So while some of these things will be from like Fallout 3 or something, they are built on the sort of Fallout 4 modular power armor system. So as you can see, it's about the size of a person. It's probably a bit taller than it should be, but it's, you know, tall enough to not look out of place. As you can see, it's at about the correct height that would be in the game. So I'm very pleased with how these things managed to come out. And then I just built a US Army model, knocking over everything. So yeah, I then built a US Army model, which is just in olive green with some US stars on it. And yeah, it looks pretty good. But then we move on to probably my favourite power armor model, because I played Fallout 3 in New Vegas, obviously, before Fallout 4, and without wanting to wear Hellfire armor or Enclave power armor, I wandered around in T51 power armor, and this is what these power armors here are. So you've got the base model T51 power armor here. I'm very happy with how the shoulder pads actually came out, because the T51 has got those iconic, sort of very large, sort of American footballer-esque almost shoulder pads over the sort of shoulder joins, and so yeah, I'm very pleased with how I managed to get these things to come out. And then you've got yeah, part of it's in sort of like a light olive, as it is in the base games. For some reason, I don't know why, the power armor T51 power armor has got sort of like olive instead of regular grey for its upper torso armor. And then it's got, you know, the standard sort of grey, just metal. All of these are made out of steel to act like, you know, armor, which is what they are. So you've got that all on there, and then of course you've got like the shoulder pins there again. Then you've got a slightly bigger chest plate. As you can see, it's slightly elongated upwards, just to show that it is the next level up in protective power. And then you've got the US Army version, which has got the stars on the shoulder pads, and then it's got the 1 star on the central chest there. Moving back, we've got another Fallout 3 power armor for the T51, because the T51 has got the biggest array of special paint jobs, unique paint jobs on it, because I don't know why. I guess they liked I guess T51 was abundant in the pre-war America, and yeah, they just sort of did everything with it. But here is an actual army version of the T51, and this is the Operation Anchorage winterized T51 power armor suit. It's got the correct division stamping, which is what you will find in the game if you go and have a close look on the winterized power armor, it does have the US Army division there, and then it's got USA Army on it. On the back it should have like an American flag, I think, but it was just far too small for me to try and do that. So instead you've just got the fusion core there, and then you've got the sort of just neck protection there, and then you've got the winterized helmet up there, and it's basically just a white version of the power armor with interestingly, with blue stars on it instead of regular stars like that. But hey, winterized power armor. Then you've got the Nuka-Cola power armor from, I think it comes from, I think it comes from Nuka World, the Nuka-Cola power armor. So you've just got, yeah, Nuka-Cola written on the shoulder pads. You've got Nuka-Cola written on the chest. You've got some white hintings on it, well, white tintings rather, to go with the Nuka-Cola theme. And yeah, it's just sort of just a red suit of T-51. And then you've got their well, competitors, as it were, with Vim, and this is the Vim Refresh power armor painting. I would do regular Vim because there is one for regular Vim, and then there's Vim Refresh, both of which are on T-51s. However, there's not much really different between the Nuka-Cola power armor and the Vim base Vim T-51 power armor, other than the fact that Vim has got some pictures on the shoulder pads rather than just writing Vim. But as you can see, with the Vim Refresh, it's got Vim written on the shoulder pads instead of, you know, Nuka-Cola, and it's got the same sort of thing with Vim and then Refresh underneath there, and it's just, yeah, a lime green version of the T-51, but with Vim written on it, and it's got the arms are sort of like half green, half white. So there's that for there. Then we got the T-60 power armor, which is what we first see in Fallout 4, I think it is. And yeah, it's just the next version up from T-51. They sort of reverted back to a T-45 style design, got rid of the big shoulder pads, and instead had hooks, which is what these bits are here. And they've just got hooks which hook onto the power armor frame for the technicians to do work onto. And then, yeah, it's just got the protective shoulder torso again. It's got some indenting there, and it's got slightly thicker legs to show that it's more protective. And then coming around the back again, fusion core, and yeah, it's got the more curved shoulders of the T-45 rather than the very big and bulky T-51 shoulder pads. And again, I've got two different versions of that. You've got the regular, and then you've got US Army. And then we come to the pinnacle of power armor technology, which is the X01 power armor. Everyone's favourite top tier power armor. And yeah, it's very big, very bulky, very protective, as you can see. Chestplate design was completely redesigned. They reincorporated some parts of the C-51, as you can see from the slightly splayed shoulder pads. And then, yeah, so they've just sort of brought that back slightly for bit more protection, and they're, yeah, very thick arm protection, and yeah, very thick leg armor as well, plus some actual proper foot armor as well with these curved bricks here. Yeah, bolted on knee pads on there, and then yeah, the redesigned helmet as well, which is why it's got those things drawn on there. And then around the back, very big, very thick back protection for the X01, and then you've got the fusion core right under there. And if I go over here, this is how it stands, and compared next to an unpower armored human, it's a very, very large and bulky thing, but once you're in it, you're probably very glad for the protection. And then you've got the US Army version. The US Army, I don't think, ever actually operated X01 because it was developed after the bombs fell, by the Enclave, I think it was, of all people. But hey, if the US Army did manage to get it before the nuclear war, then, well, that's probably how it would look. And then we've got everyone's favourite Nuka-Cola Quantum for the extra action point refresh rate, which again you get in Nuka World in the Galactic Zone after collecting 25 star cores and inputting them into the computer. Or if you're like me, you collect most of them and then you can't be able to hunt around the map for the rest of them, and you just no-clip it and take the power, but no one needs to know about that. And so yeah, it's in the special Nuka-Cola Quantum paint job, which is in a very nice blue and light blue. Well, I think it's actually blue and dark blue in this case, but hey. So you've got that. The bolts were painted yellow for the top of the bolts, which is interesting. It's got Nuka-Cola Quantum written across the chest plate, And yeah, it's just a very nice looking Power Armour X01 version, which is, yeah, very strange, but hey, there we go. And then we come to the sort of assorted section over here. So you've got the base Power Armour frame, which is what all the Power Armour's attached to in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. So you've got that. It's just, yeah, just basic stripped to the bone Power Armour. And then we come to everyone's favourite enemies, the Enclave from Fallout 3. And so yeah, this is just the Enclave Power Armour, aka Power Armour Mark II, which we all know and love fighting from Fallout 3. And so it's T45 grade, but I think it's improved with various bonuses to make it Power Armour Mark II. So they've got sort of like the yellow eyes, they've got dark grey, just base steel sort of colour. The chest plate has been redesigned to be slightly more protective. It's got the Enclave symbol there, which I'm very happy with how that came out. So yeah, Enclave symbol on the chest plate there. It has got sort of like this... it's got like a belting system on here, which is what all of these lines are, which is very strange for a Power Armour, but it has sort of like this yellow belt, so that's what those are. And then yeah, it's got the shoulder pads actually come up to points, which is what those antennae are there for on either side. It also has a slightly pointed like ears on the helmet, which is why it looks a bit like Batman. But it's the best I could do to try and accurately represent this Power Armour. And then on the back it's got a little bit. So there's the Enclave Power Armour. Then we come to the Enclave Tesla Power Armour, which is rather more coppery in colour, which is why it's all made out of copper in this case. It's also got some... it would have wires and things trailing all over it, which then lead to points, which is what these gold pieces are. They're like the points which all of the electricity goes around the Power Armour. And yeah, so the knee pads were more sort of golder, so that's what the gold bits there are for, obviously. It had slightly more rounded shoulder pads, and those had sort of like little Tesla coils on the sides of them. And so yeah, I managed to get just use some glass and things just to make the Tesla coils poking out of the Power Armour, which I'm very happy with. And then it kept the same helmet, so yeah, just copy paste the helmet onto this Power Armour, and hey, there you go, Tesla Power Armour right there. It also had a slightly different backing to it. It had sort of like more backpack-esque type thing on there, and so that's what that's there for. And that's the Tesla Power Armour. And then we come to the big boy, the absolute unit of an Enclave Hellfire Armoured Trooper. So an Enclave Hellfire Trooper is very big, very bulky. -1 to Charisma when you're wearing a helmet, because it's very ugly. As you can see, I had to use a lot of varying techniques to try and represent the filtration system on the helmet. But yeah, very thick chest plate, very thick legs. It is probably comparable to an X01 suit of Power Armour if it were in Fallout 4, if you didn't get it through the Creation Club or download a mod. But hey, so there you go. So yeah, chest plate, it had sort of like a venting system on the midriff of the armor. So that's what this thing is here for, all of these lines. And then it just had, yeah, some various bits and pieces on the top of the chest plate, which is what those things are for. Yeah, more rounded shoulder pads again, like a T51 suit of Power Armour, but then the back of it, which had like this fan system going on, which I'm very happy with how this has come out on the model here. Yeah, looks very good on here, and so yeah, that's represented with just coloured lines onto the back of the Power Armour. But yeah, very big, very bulky, very menacing. You know, it's pretty scary to be up against one of these things. If you were a raider and you saw one of these things coming towards you, you would get out of the way. Yeah, I wouldn't like to meet one of those guys on the battlefield. But of course, power armors by themselves are great, but what about weaponry? You can't have a suit of power armor without having some sort of weapon with which to destroy your enemies. So yeah, I've got this assortment of weapons, and I'll probably keep adding to it. So you've got right here, in fact, let me just reset it here. Oh, I fell through the floor. But yeah, so as I reset it there, just to get some of the weapons pointed up. So this is the Flamer from Fallout 3 plus backpack. And yeah, it's just just your bog standard sort of flamer design. You've got the grip and the triggers, which would be there. There should be pipes and things bridging this gap, but there isn't because you don't have pipes in brick rigs, so those have just had to be left off. But imagine some pipes there. Flames obviously come out the pointy end, and the rear of the flamer connects up to the backpack, which is what this thing is. And yeah, this would just hold all of the fuel, and you can connect that up to your power armors, which I have done in some of the dioramas, which will come in a different video. So yeah, there's that. As for melee weapons, I don't have a lot because I never use melee weapons in Fallout. I'm always an energy weapons man myself, but I did manage to get everyone's favourite melee weapon, the super sledge. Yeah, happy with how this thing came out. Very big old bulky sledgehammer, two-handed. You know, you've got the rocket motor in the back there just for that extra braking force to punch through power armor suits. Yeah, you got where the battery would be sort of here, which then connects up to this point here, which then does all sorts of stuff to the base to the base sledgehammer bit, which is obviously there. And so yeah, just your favourite super sledge. And then the railway rifle, you know, everyone's favourite buildable weaponry. You've got the piston here, which is what was represented by this bit here. You've got where all the railway spikes would go into the main central chamber here. You've got the nice wooden buttstock / trigger system there. The railway spikes would obviously fire out the front there and pin people to the wall, which is what everyone loved doing. And yeah, it's just come out rather nicely. You know, very pleased with how the railway rifle came about there. And then we've got old reliable AER9 laser rifle just here. You've got the microfusion cell, is it, in there. And yeah, you've got the skeletal stock style system, which I'm very pleased with how that came out, using just various redirectors of various shapes and sizing. And then you've got the open hole for the trigger, which again, I'm very pleased with how that came out. And then, yeah, you've got the grip under here, the bar, and then you've got the main area where the dangerous end, as it were, is. And so yeah, that's come out very nicely. And then we've got the experimental AER14 development hardware, which you should not release under any circumstances. I can't remember what game that's in. I think it may be New Vegas, but again, I'm not too sure with that. But it's basically what would be the AER version 2. The laser rifle Mark II is what this thing would be. So it had like a motherboard chip on this side of the stock, various wires going everywhere. It had a different colouring design, probably due to the fact that it is a developmental laser rifle. But again, dangerous end this side. You got the grip under here. Do not release is written on there in the slightly slanted text, how it is in game. Good old microfusion cell placement right there, and yeah, it's just come out very nicely as one of the legendary weapons. Everyone's favourite alien blaster from Fallout 4 here. Very happy with how this thing came out. It's actually made up of 30-something pieces, which, looking at how small this thing is, you may find surprising, but yeah, it's made up of about 30 to 40 different pieces. So yeah, you've got the trigger there, you've got the grip, you've got the you've got where the alien blaster cells would go in, you've got the dangerous end right there. And yeah, it's come out just very nicely. Very pleased with how that thing turned out. And again, with the minigun, CZ75 personal minigun, at least I think it is. In Fallout 4, which is what this model is, I think it's just called the minigun. But there is the CZ 75 or 57. I think it's 57 personal minigun. But again, if you were to look at this sideways, you've got the ammo coming up the side of the weapon there. You've got the main actual weapon there. You've got where all of the rounds would be stored in the massive chamber, and then you've got the foregrip and you've got the trigger grip at the back. And these have been distanced just apart enough to be put in between the gap where the power armor arms are. So these things are usable with the power armor figures, as it were, which is the whole point of it. So yeah, you've just got your favourite minigun. That was the first thing that I built, actually, I think. And then we've got the rocket launcher from, again, Fallout 4. Dangerous end up this end. You've got the grip and trigger system back here. You've got the open end here, because that's because of, I think, probably where the trigger was mounted and how it was all mounted. There was an open gap towards the front of the rocket launcher, and that's what this bit's representing. Coming back here, this is where the cheek rest is, which is what the wood is representing. Sort of like leather banded around it. And then we come to the rear, where the back blast is. Again, don't want to be standing near there because, well, it's the only weapon which has got a two-ended dangerous end. You know, you don't want to be standing behind this thing, otherwise you'll get knocked out and go deaf. But yeah, so you've got the rocket launcher, heavy flamer, or sorry, heavy incinerator, especially for this guy. I was thinking, well, you know, what do Hellfire troopers normally carry around? They carry around heavy incinerators. So I spent a while making this thing up, and yeah, very happy with how this thing came about. You've got sort of like pressure gauge, I think, is here. You've got the grip right there, the trigger back there. This V shape here, I think, is a shield for the weapon. And then you've got the dangerous end. You've got the main tube for letting all of the fire come out, which is what these bits are back here. And overall, it's come around very nicely. And then you've got the actual main tank back here for the weapon. And then my favourite weapon out of everything in Fallout 3 and New Vegas especially, those two games, is the Gatling laser. I love using the Gatling laser in the older Fallout games. Well, the older first/third person Fallout games. Just, I don't know why. Because it's a laser weapon, and it's basically the laser equivalent of the minigun, and I just love using it. So yeah, did my darnest to try and represent this weapon. So you've got the big microfusion pack. I'm fairly certain it's microfusion pack, which would obviously strap to the back of, you know, a power armor suit. You've got the barrel right there. You've got the main, well, that's the dangerous end, as it were. Those are the 3 points where the lasers come out. Then you've got the whole rotating barrel right there, housed inside of this weird system. I don't know why they needed it there, but hey, they have. So that then leads into the main body, which has got, well, it was just basically loads of vents on the side, as far as I could tell. You've got like a dial slash a reader, whatever it is, up here. You've got another dial there, probably for changing the intensity of the laser and the firing speed and whatnot. And then you've got the rear, well, the trigger back there. And yeah, it's come out really well. Very pleased with how it turned out. And yeah, it is my favourite weapon in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And yeah, so those are all of the power armor models that I have. There is one other set of models, which I will show you right here. So there's less models in this, so I'll try and be quicker than the power armors, because, well, the power armors have got a lot more models in them. But these are the robots of Fallout, well, of all of the Fallout games. Both of these things are still being updated, so probably when you're watching this further into the future, there'll probably be more here which I haven't shown. For example, I want to try and make the Robo Scorpions from Old World Blues from Fallout New Vegas and stuff like that. So yeah, these may not be completely up to date when you see this video in, you know, a couple months time maybe. But for now, this is as much as I've got. I've got the Robco Protectrons here. Ignore the power armors, because there are Nuka World variants of robots here, which is why the power armors are there. So yeah, the Protectrons. I love Protectrons. I try not to kill them in the Fallout games when I can. I try and protect them because, you know, they're just nice, harmless robots for the most part. You know, they just wander around doing their little roboty things, and you know, I think they're nice and cute. So I try not to kill the Protectrons. So you've got the base Protectron here, nice splayed feet. They have sort of thin legs, thin arms, which end in three-pronged grabbers. I couldn't do the three-pronged grabbers because, well, they're far too small on this small of a scale. This is basically minifigure scale that I'm building to. And so, yeah, if I go here, you can see they're about the same size as a person, which is how they should be. But yeah, so you've got the arms, and then you've got sort of like the forearms, which then go up to the shoulder joints, and then you've got the Robbie-style head from, I can't remember what movie it is. It's a famous movie. that I probably should know the name of, but I can't remember. But I know that the robot's name is Robbie, and that's what Protectrons were based off of. At least in Fallout 4 they were. So yeah, you've got the speaker right there, which is what the little bar is. So that's the speaker for their Protectron voice. And as soon as I say Protectron, you can all probably hear in your head what Protectrons sound like. So yeah, you've got that. You've got the leg joints right there. You've got the main sort of like body joint right there. And that's just the base Protectron. Then you've just got all sorts of different variants of it. So you've got the Medic Protectron with first aid written on it in a different colour scheme, and then it's got a slightly narrower field of view for some reason, but hey, there you go. And then you've got the Fire Brigadier Protectron. That circle there should really be like the shield of the Fire Brigade, but that's not in the game, and it's far too small for me to try and recreate the shield, so that'll have to do. But it's got Fire Rescue written on it. In order to protect the inner workings of the Protectron, more than likely they've completely covered the face, or the head unit, so with probably some fireproof armour. And yeah, it's all just in red and yellow. And yeah, it's just a red and yellow Protectron. Then you come to the Police Protectron, same deal. In order to protect it from small arms fire and all sorts of stuff, they've covered up the inner working so that they can't just smash the glass and destroy all of the robotics and stuff inside of it. But yeah, it's got police written on it. It's got the star. Well, it's got a yellow star, red cap on it, and hey, there you go. So there's the Police Protectron. Then you've got two Utility Protectrons here, one of which has got a nail gun, one of which has got two heavy lifters on its arms, because there are two variants in Fallout 4. And it's got printed on it the same thing as it does in-game, which is caution, do not open during operation. And yeah, it's got caution tape written on it. It's in yellow, high-vis yellow, so that you can easily see it on a building site. It's got flashing lights, which should be flashing. At least I think they should be. Nope, they're not working for some reason, which is a shame, but those lights used to flash, but they don't for some reason anymore, probably due to the update. But hey, there you go. So those lights should technically flash, but they've broken. And then we come over here to the two Nuka World variants. You've got the Galactron right here, and then you've got the just Nuka-Cola Protectron. I think it's got a special name, but I can't remember it. And yeah, so for the Galactron, it's got a very more open style head. It's all in white and gold, which is, you know, represented here. Doesn't have anything printed on it. The head is far more open, so I do have a little bit more liberty with which to try and recreate the robotics that are jammed inside of its head there. And yeah, it's just a white and gold Protectron. And then we've got the biggest change to any Protectron, which is a Nuka-Cola Protectron. Obviously stylized to look like a Nuka-Cola vending machine. It's got fans on the side here and a vent, which isn't the same on the other side as you find in Nuka World. You've got a Nuka-Cola dispenser, which is right there, and then you've got a grabber, which is there. It's got Nuka-Cola written on it. On the miniature screen, it again has got Nuka-Cola written on it, and it's in orange and red of the Nuka-Cola Corporation. So there's that, and when I built this, I was very surprised. I'm as surprised as you are that this thing actually stands on its own 2 feet. There's nothing keeping this thing up other than its own feet, which I think is very impressive. And then we've got the General Atomics Mr. Handy and Mr. Gutsy. Obviously, Mr. Gutsy is the militarized version of the Mr. Handys. So, Mr. Handy here, he was a challenge to make, let me tell you. Trying to get that main ball, the main ball of the Mr. Handy was a chore. Trying to get that thing working, but I eventually managed to get him working, plus all 3 of his eyes, right, which are shown right there. And they're just sort of all jammed inside of this ball. If I was to remove that top ball, you would only see a mass of bricks because it is a mess in there. And then we come down to the to the thruster, which keeps him floating and flying. And then we've got his 3 different arms, each of which have tried to get his 3 different tools of the trade. So this one's got the miniaturized circular saw for trimming hedges and stuff like that. And then you've got this one here, which is just a little grabber for, you know, grabbing shopping, and then I have no idea what this thing is or what it's meant to represent, but it's what the models have. Again, I'm not too sure what is meant to be this thing, but I've recreated it as best as I can, so when we find out what it is, you'll be able to recognise it there. And then for the Mr. Gutsy, you know, it's an American Army green, it's got the US star on it, different voice, and it's got probably plasma, I think is what this thing fires. It has miniature, like, plasma pistols, I think, on its 3 arms, which makes it a bit of a foe on the battlefield to distract those damn invading Chinese, invading our Alaska, how dare they. And then we've got the 2 Nuka World variants of these 2 robots, so you've got the Mr. Frothy, which is this guy. He has miniature fans on him, which I'm not too sure what they do, but I think when they attack you, they sort of... It's basically like having a flamer, I think it is, except the flamer, instead of causing fire damage, causes radiation damage, because it's Nuka-Cola. So that's the basics of this weapon on the Mr. Frothy, but in-game they actually look like fans. So that's what these things are. They're just fans on top of the Mr. Frothy. And again, his head has been changed to look like a Nuka-Cola vending machine. Only 2 eyes on him. They had to get rid of the 3rd one in order to fit Nuka-Cola written on there. 4 fans on the front, but I can only fit 2 due to the small scale of this model, but there should be 4 fans on there. And then for the Mr. Gutsy, you've got the Astro Gutsy, that's his name, and he has 2 laser pistols on him, and he also has a circular saw. I think the models vary from Astro to Astro, but for this model at least, I've got the 2 miniature sort of just, yeah, laser pistols, and then he's got his good old circular saw on him. Again, these were probably the most difficult, or one of the most difficult robots to make out of all of these robots here. But I'm glad I did, because, you know, everyone loves having a Mr. Handy everywhere. And then we come to everyone's most hated robot enemy, the Robco Assaultrons. The head I had to come back to. I left Brickrigs for a bit, came back with a new idea, and boom, managed to come up with this head design, which I'm very happy with how it came out. It looked a lot better than the original head design that I had. So, I mean, talking about the head, might as well start with it. It's got the 3 sort of coils, I think they are, coil type things on the top of the head, which gives it that powerful head laser attack. It's got the singular eye on here, the eye sensor there. You've got the American star on it. You've got the extra motors for the arm mechanism, which gives it a feminine look to it. But yeah, there's actually chains and stuff in there which help move the arms around. The arms have got 3 sort of like long finger claw things, and that's what these things are. Yeah, they're just dangerous claws which can hack and slash at you, or shoot lasers, I think. And then you've just got the thin legs of the Assaultron on there, and then you've got the Assaultron here, which I can't remember his name, or her name even. Yeah, again, completely blank. I do have it written in the description of the vehicle, so go and have a look on my Steam Workshop page if you like these models, and go and download them for yourself. And there is a rundown of what everything is in there. And yeah, this is just the Nuka-Cola equivalent of the Assaultron, with a laser pistol on there. Well, actually, I think it's a laser rifle which has got the basically Gatling laser attachment or modification to it. So that's what that is there, and then it's got the other arm is a claw. So there you go, and it's in the standard silver and gold of the galactic world part of Nuka World. And then we've got the QBD88B, I think it is, or the something like that. Again, can't remember. But it's the Robco Securitron to everyone else, and we all remember this from Fallout New Vegas. It's got the very long 3-bladed fingers. It's got the single wheel on it, various beeps and buttons, and the angry face on its computer screen, which it can change. From Securitron to Securitron. So, yeah, I mean, I was happy with how this thing came out. I was going to build it at some point. I never got round to it until quite recently, actually, and I managed to build this thing, which, yeah, very happy with how this thing came out. So, yeah, the single wheel has come out looking very nice. And then the body splays upwards to the big box. Very large shoulder pads. And yeah, the TV screens come out well. It's got all of the various buttons and lights which it would have for programming it. And yeah, it's come out just really well for all of the other models. It's probably a bit too big for how it should be. It should really be sort of like around here, but I'm not going to change it. This is as small as I can get it with those little really long arms of it. And then we come to the Robco iBot, which we see in all the new games actually. And yeah, like the Mr. Handy, very difficult working with a circular design. The iBot is actually designed to look like a Sputnik. And so yeah, it's got the single laser prong sitting out there. It's got the grill face on the front of the ball. The ball is actually slightly elongated in order to fit everything in, but it's got the trailing wires and things all coming out the back, which is what those are at various angles. And yeah, it's just got the rounded ball and stuff for that. And then there's one which I've been working on for a very long time, which is the Robco SentryBot. Trying to get this thing to a person size is very difficult, but actually building the whole upper torso is proving to be a lot more difficult than I thought. But hey, eventually I'll probably finish it. But those are all of the models that I have to show you. I have made some walking Protectrons, but yeah, it's not really worth showing them. And so yeah, those are all the models. If you like them, they are on my Steam Workshop page. But I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.